All people are afraid. Being afraid is a very normal, healthy thing. Nature gave us fear in order to survive. And of course, fear is our best friend. Fear is something which has to be controlled. I always compare it to fire. Fear, like fire, must be controlled. And once it gets out of control, like fire, it can destroy everything around it. Not only the individual, but everything around it. But once you control fear like fire, you can make it work for us. Without fire, we wouldn't have the civilization we now recognize. The fighter who controls this fear can now function in a manner far over and beyond anything he was capable of before.
Today we're going to be taking a look at the psychology of Floyd Patterson to extrapolate a life philosophy. Fear and a lack of confidence keeps so many young men from pursuing what they really want in life. It keeps so many men imprisoned. Fear makes them quit on themselves, quit on their dreams. They walk away thinking that's their freedom. That's their escape. It's no escape. As Teddy Atlas says, that's the terminal sentence.
Understand, flames are always under you. They're not above you. They're under you. So when you quit, you go under to flames. Above you is a bright sky. Freedom. Victory. Even if you lose, it's victory because you faced it. It's beautiful.
Two-time heavyweight champion Floyd Patterson is someone who rose above. He's a man who learned to control that fear and allowed it to work for him. Much like I said in my Philosophy of Marciano video, Floyd Patterson was not some natural savage. He was not meant to be the heavyweight king. In fact, he wasn't really cut out for boxing at all, naturally. Floyd was neurotic, he was unbelievably shy, and he suffered from extraordinary levels of low self-esteem. So much so that in his autobiography, Floyd Patterson said that he hated the sound of laughter because when he heard laughing, he almost guaranteed people were laughing at him. He knew people were laughing at him, even if they weren't. Patterson said he felt so much shame internally, so much disgust with who he was, that he couldn't stand to be around people. I mean, he loved and he said he found safety in darkness and in isolation. So think about this. That guy who I just described all those things about, he put himself on the biggest stage possible. He exposed himself in the greatest way possible, in the squared circle. You don't get much more exposed than when you're fighting another man in the ring. So in order to do that, he had to get a new relationship with fear. Because fear is that unspoken, unseen third contestant in the ring. Boxing is a sport that tests a man's dominance over his mind and of his fear. Because there is so much to fear in the ring. Everything from injury and possible death to humiliation and loss. Now let's jump back to Customato for a second and look at this quote on fear. The novice fighter's mind and imagination exaggerates everything, which is what the mind does. Nothing is ever as bad as the imagination makes it, not even death. Our fight is with the monsters of our imagination. The reality, when actually faced, it's never as bad as we made it out to be. We hold the narratives, therefore we hold the power here. Floyd Patterson was done being consumed by fear. He was done letting the flames steal everything of who he was, everything he had to offer. So he decided to control it. He decided to look at fear in a different way. He harnessed his mind's natural tendency. He used and managed that imagination. He allowed that immense fear to come to his aid. It helped produce ferocity and an intensity that pushed him far further than his rational mind ever would. He allowed fear to push him into a corner, but he chose to become the animal, the killer with his back against the wall. This allowed him to fight like his life depended on it. He let himself feel those flames, and he knew he was burning alive, and so he would fight forward with everything he had to get out of those flames, to get out of that burning. We can use this same philosophy in our life. We can let the flames, we can let the fear, we can let everything we dread be the thing that keeps us moving forward. It comes down to that perspective shift. Floyd Patterson went from a scared and humiliated boy to a two-time heavyweight champion of the world, not by fighting against his natural tendency towards fear, but by working with it, by learning a way to master that very emotion that tried to end him. So ask yourself, what do you fear most? How can that become your motivation? How can that fear produce intensity in your pursuits? How are you going to control that fire?
You think I'm that poor?